Former Army Ranger in Green Beret. I own 2 businesses and taking all I can take. Enforce the law. Simple living. I'm just here to talk to you guys and talk with you and let you know who I am. My family's been here for multiple generations. Additionally, I've lived both here and around the world, and I think that helps me see why we're special. I'm here on purpose. I chose to live in Seattle and keep living in Seattle because I love our city, and I don't think we have much time left. And the people that are in charge just keep making it worse. So there you go. I don't know my name.
Hi, I'm James Norton. I'm openly gay Seattle police officer. I've been with the department for 10 plus years, well, just about 10 years. I've lived in our city for about 20 plus years. I've lived in various neighborhoods all over. The reason I'm running is because a lot of people that I've talked to in the neighborhoods that I serve have told me they're completely unhappy with the way our city's going, and I see it. I'm unhappy too. As a police officer, we've been working without a contract for over 3 years. I don't feel our city government provides support for us, and I believe that our city government has forgotten how to serve the people. They think they know what's best for everybody. They stopped including people in their discussions. They've forgotten about our unique and special neighborhoods. I think we need to get back to that. I think we need to make sure that neighborhoods like the Central District and International District, the people that have built those communities and lived there for years, are not getting pushed out by developers. I think that I deal with our most pressing issues every day. I'm in traffic every day. I deal with people that are under the influence and our homeless population. I see what's really going on with that and how our current city government has failed to really provide an answer, provide support for people. It's kind of a revolving door. I want to change that. I don't want to keep throwing money at it. I also deal with a lot of people that can't afford housing. There's a difference between low-income housing and affordable housing. I think that we need people that can't afford to live here, that are part of our working class, as the people that are not part of the working class but still get benefits from the housing, which we need to do that as well. And traffic is miserable. We want to try and all solve that. That's a long-term issue. You can visit my website at Norton for Seattle. I've got some things on there that talk about that. Overall, I just care about the city a great deal. That's why I became a police officer. I wanted to get back to the city, and hopefully, you can understand my passion and my caring. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to try the microphone. Don't screw me, Joey. My name is Jason Roberts. I'm a business owner, a consultant, lifetime resident of Seattle. At the core of my platform, you will find communities, neighborhoods, and small business. The rapid growth of Seattle has really been financially beneficial for our city, but it has left some people behind. And we need to bring the balance back. To me, that means investing in our neighborhoods and our communities. By that, I want small business and communities to have a say. I want to bring back the neighborhood councils. I want communities to be able to decide for themselves what development works right for them. They can choose whether or not the MHA comes and upzones their neighborhood. They're intelligent human beings. Ask Mayor, if they say yes, so be it. If they say no, so be it. Neighborhoods need to have that power. I also believe that we have more money than our city has had in its entire history. That said, we have a lot of problems that we need to solve. I believe that we can solve those problems within the construct of a properly managed budget. We've been throwing a lot of money away under Mayor Ed Murray, and it's time to learn to do more with less and budget like we would budget our own households. Every dollar counts. We can solve these problems. We can solve homelessness. We can get affordable housing. We can curb the opioid crisis by providing low-barrier detox centers that are on a sliding scale. We can make a difference without blowing our budget. That's why I'm running for mayor, to bring some transparency back to this, put some control, and put you back in charge of our city.
Hello, I'm Casey Carlisle. Thank you for coming and listening to the 9-6 here. I'm stoked to be with these guys. To sum up my platform, it's really based on the belief that City Hall is the culprit for all of our city's problems. It is not wealthy people, it is not developers, it's City Hall. So real quick, since I only have 2 minutes, first example, cost of living, City Hall's fault. So here's an example of how they do it. City Hall currently is broadcasting to every single real estate speculator, both foreign and domestic. It's saying, hey, come park your money here. We will ensure that you get a sound return on your investment. And in return for this favor we provide, your property value will continue to increase, and therefore we will continue to reap the property tax revenue that we so desire. They do this by restricting the supply of housing, guys. We are the fastest growing city in the country. And yet, when City Hall restricts the supply, that is why we have this ridiculously high cost of living here. That's just one example. I only got 30 seconds, but two of my other... homelessness, that's another one. It's City Hall's fault. A lot of people think that City Hall will be spending $60 million on homelessness, and those people are wrong. I'm sorry to tell you this, but City Hall will be spending $60 million enriching non-governmental organizations that thrive off of homelessness.
Yes,
It sounds sick, but it's the truth. Third, traffic. Again, City Hall, and this is with zoning. I want to get rid of zoning. Call me crazy. Zoning is why we have business communities and sleeper communities. If we just let growth happen to where it needs to happen most, I really believe that property rights will be respected. There will be a decrease in traffic. I know it's long term, but like James said, it is not no quick fixes here. So thank you. I look forward to your questions, and thanks again for having me.
Hi everyone, my name is Tennille Cato and I am running for mayor of Seattle. Thank you. I am a business owner, a grant writer, and a philanthropist. We deserve a leader who has gone out personally into the community and listened to our ideas, our concerns, and became proactive towards evolution. We deserve a leader who knows that the process of evolution generally is slow, good and bad. We deserve a leader who knows that the natural selection of evolution is not primary intent. It is the retention of what is working that is. For those of you who do not know what evolution is, it is change, improving which exists, improving the good characteristics and removing the bad characteristics. So as a grant writer, going through a lot of process and procedures, we found that there's a lot of dividers that violate all of our civil rights pertaining to employment, crime, income, sexuality, race, creed, sexuality, all the things that have nothing to do with what we're actually applying for or the resources that we need when it comes to the process and procedures. So the first thing that I would do when I get into the mayor's office, coming straight from the people, which is the difference between me and any other candidate, is taking out the dividers so that we really are equal. Then disperse the money out appropriately to the businesses and the nonprofits that service and provide the resources to the community. Once that is done, we will see the economic growth and development in our city that provides the money to fund the crises that we have today instead of putting the pressure on the people, because that is not our responsibility. So as mayor and the legitimate voice of the community of Seattle, people just want to be independent and financially secure and protect their families. Vote for me, Tennille Cato. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Harley Lever. Thank you. Guess I have some fans. I'm a former research scientist contracted to work for the FAA and NASA, and today I'm a small business development consultant I help small businesses use technologies so they can make better decisions about their business, so they can grow revenue, so they can stay in touch with their customers better. And I want to do the same exact thing with Seattle. We don't have a tax problem. We have a solutions and strategies problem. In the last 4 years alone, our budget grew from $4 billion to $5.6 billion. That $1.6 billion increase is $2,370 for every single one of us. The problem is we have our elderly neighbors getting taxed out of their homes. We have middle classes being purged out of our city, and we just run Seattle based on 1980s technology. I'll give you a quick example. If you're a homeless neighbor and you wanted to help today, if you ask a police officer or a social worker for help, they literally have to call around to Union Gospel Mission, to Mary's Place, and ask if you have any vacancies available. They don't have an online dashboard that lists all those vacancies available. Seattle spends $60 million on homelessness. Boston, by way of example, spends only $24 million. We have a far worse opioid addiction crisis. We have far worse affordability crisis. Yet only 160 people are on the streets in Boston. So how is that?
Rich bureaucrats.
Not true. What they do is they capture data, they measure their strategies, they measure their contractors' performance, and they only invest in what works. Seattle does none of this. More importantly, they have what's called a coordinated care system where homeless services, housing services, mental health services, and opioid addiction services all share data, work together strategically to move people out of homelessness. So, Harley Lever, I will answer more questions later. Thank you.
Hello and greetings. Thanks for coming here. I think what you hear is the polar opposite of if you watch the Snore Fest Monday. These people actually, what you hear and what I hear, common sense, solution-based, practical, which has been completely shut out. So whatever happens, whatever you leave here favoring not, I implore you to do everything you can to shake loose the people that aren't going to bother voting because 21 is too hard to pay attention to. Okay? If you want change, it's here. Whether we agree or disagree, we agree on giving you a value for your money. So I'm Mayoral, third generation Italian. There's 5 generations of us living here. I grew up in Rainier Valley. I'm a family member of a 100-year-old sausage company that now makes beef jerky. I understand. Yeah, beef jerky at every point. I understand waste. I grew up of somebody like kicking me in the head going, hey, Alberto, you got, what's that? 4 ounces of pork shoulder, 35 cents a pound, big deal. Well, do you know how much sausage we got to sell to pay for that 35 cents, right? You got to sell hundreds of dollars worth of stuff to pay for 35 cents a waste. I understand that. That's what I want to bring to government. My other successes are driving race cars and race boats and building and managing the Alberto hydroplane team, right? So I took little old Miss Madison and Alberto, who were 2 dogs, and if you're familiar from here, we sucked. And I built them into one of the winningest teams around. Seattle's the same thing. It's you have to have the right people. Does that mean I'm done? Halfway. Yes. Teamwork. That's my basic.
So let's get started with the questions now. And as I said, we're going to go first with Greg, and then we're going to stagger it for the next question. As citizens, often others define for us what the important issues are for us. It could be the media that defines it. It could be corporations or special interest groups. It could even be politicians. I would like to ask the candidates, what do you see as the most neglected issue of this campaign?
But once again, when I introduced myself, I didn't go that long because I wanted to say what's different. You know, that's the same. I agree with most of these guys, probably about 80%, 90% of what we're going to talk about. Janie Durkin said we have a model police department. I'm going to harp on the police thing for a while. We have the highest street vagrancy rate, the highest opium rate, the highest property crime rates in the nation. Who would want to model that? Like, what city would want to model that? I think our biggest issue, and the neglected issue, is actually making our city safe again. It would not be hard to do. No one wants to make the city safe. What they want to do is they want to double down on stupid. They want to tie the police hands even more than they're already tied, which has already given us this problem. And the only way we're going to solve this problem is to actually have a police department that is allowed to do their job and function. Not do more than their job, but do their job. And they're not being allowed to.
You can ask me to repeat the question at any time. Do keep your eyes on the flags here. Thank you.
So I'm going to agree. I think a lot of what's happening with Seattle is a direct result of our inability to understand what's going on with the police department and their inability to enforce the law. As a police officer, I see it every day. I'm getting told in my roll calls where policy trumps law. And I know I'm not going to be very well welcomed back by my police department when I go back, if I go back. But the reality is, we do not allow police to enforce the law. We keep putting them in positions to do things like interact with people that are mentally ill. That's part of our job. But at the same time, when you put them in a position with these people that have mental illness, you are asking them to do something that's outside of their realm. Police are supposed to make the city safe, which they're not able to do, and they're supposed to uphold the law, which we're not able to do. I think that is a big problem in our city, and what it's doing is it's causing a divide between a lot of the people that believe police should not have that authority anymore and the people that feel unsafe. So I think that is a big issue.
For me, the issue that seems to be the most underrated is the opioid crisis. It's constantly mentioned, and they seem to believe that if we created safe injection sites, it would all go away. That's not the case. I believe that, well, I don't believe, it's a fact, that about 30% of the homeless population suffers from one kind of addiction or another, largely heroin. I believe we need not safe injection sites, but we need low barrier detox centers on a sliding scale, and we need real options for health care for people to get clean. That has to happen. That alone will cut into many of the other issues that we're facing with homelessness and affordability. We have people that are cluttering up the system, causing problems amongst the homeless population with their addictions. That needs to be addressed directly and individually from all of the other issues that are being addressed with homelessness and affordability.
One issue that I find to be sorely lacking, and it is the very same issue that got me into this race from the beginning, since March 1st is when I joined, is individual liberty. So I believe that City Hall wants us to believe that we need another parent, that we need City Hall invading every aspect of our lives, and it makes me sick. Like, I don't need the city's permission to go about my life in the manner that I see fit. I truly believe that as long as we are not stealing from others or harming anyone else, I mean, why must the city be involved in every aspect of our lives? It is authoritarian and it's disgusting. And that's it.
I'm going to ask you one question after hearing the 4 answers. Make sure I answer accordingly.
Sure. Tennille, what do you think is the most neglected issue of this campaign?
I'm going to be honest. I feel like the issue is everyone is saying what you all want to hear. And it takes more than just that. So I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to stand here and act like I have all the answers to our problems. I'm more inclusive than that. So coming straight from the people is the voice that should be heard. Not my agenda or anyone else's agenda, is what the people want, because the pressure from you on us delivers what it is that you need. So that is the difference between me and any other candidate. I am here for you. Thank you.
I think the the most neglected issue in a really large sense is we have a broken government that does nothing but has symbolic gestures. They want to pass safe injection site, yet we don't have any detox centers available. They want to have police reform and police oversight, yet they don't give the police the tools to do their job. They want to have encampments and they ignore the fact that our homeless neighbors are the first ones being victimized because we have a broken homeless services system, a broken drug addiction system, and they want to tax you more. They want to pour money into broken systems. Nobody wants to do the hard work it's going to take to fix these systems, to make them work properly. And so it's not just one issue, it's a culmination of issues, but behind this facade that they keep on talking about are a bunch of broken systems that no one wants you to look at. Because if you see how broken it is, you'd be absolutely disgusted and you'd say no more. The same with cost overruns. We have $378 million in cost overruns. We don't have a cost overrun mechanism in place. So we have to fix all of government.
Larry Alberto thinks that I'm with her. What I see is, I see a bunch of disingenuous people in government. People don't actually listen to you. Seattle has a way of silencing opposing viewpoints and shunning people into the corner. And that is the team kind of umbrella that affects the ineffectiveness of all the special programs of the constituent of whatever flag some city council members flying to keep their vote. You know, that's what it is. It's giving a voice to find solutions that maximize the results of whatever we have to work with without stealing more money out of your pocket. It's that simple. And not forcing something on a neighborhood and telling them it's good for them.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to stagger the responses here, and I'm going to go with you first, James. What would you do to address homelessness and affordability, the homelessness and affordability crisis in the city? And if you choose, you may address rent control.
First of all, I am for rent control. I think our city has grown so fast, so quickly that we need something to at least start to make it manageable for the people that are hardworking and are not able to afford living in the city. As far as addressing the homelessness and affordable housing, I think they're two different issues. I think that homelessness encompasses a lot of things. There's the true homeless that don't mind checking out of society. You never see them. They kind of live in the green belt. There's the people that do need help and assistance. Then you have the substance abuse, and then you have mental illness. Our city has constantly went ahead and clumped them all together. So in order to address it, you have to define what you're actually going to be dealing with, who you're going to be actually dealing with. Do the people really want homes? I'm sorry, what was
The affordability crisis, and you may address rent control if you choose.
Again, with the housing affordability, I think we keep using that word, at least our government keeps using that word, not like what there's our government keeps kind of pulling the wool over our eyes and making it about other things. I think there's a difference between affordability and low income.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the candidates from here on out to use the microphone. That's what our sound people will tell us they need. We're streaming this live, and other people may be recording it as well, so we need you to step to the mic. Thank you.
I have a lot to say on this subject, but I'm going to keep it on affordability. In regards to housing, we need to redefine what affordable means. Currently, we are pricing our one-bedroom apartments based on what the area median income is. That is decided by HUD data and census data, which currently in Seattle is about $80,000. Now, I believe that instead of taking the gross sum and averaging it of all of the income, we need to find out what the average person makes. And I'm not for rent control, I'm just saying redefine it. I would say that the average person in Seattle largely makes probably in the $40,000 to $50,000 range more than they make the $80,000 range. if we can get that affordability redefined, then that is what they use to define housing costs. For example, they take the area median income and take 30% of it. That is what they choose for a one-bedroom apartment. That's why you pay $2,000 instead of $1,200.
The best way to make housing more affordable is to allow the market to build more housing. And it's truly that simple. Even if rent control were legal, I would be totally against it. Why? We don't need to theorize, guys. Look at New York. Look at San Fran. It's a disaster. When you implement rent control, bad things happen. When you force people to do stuff, negative, unintended consequences happen. So with this illegal, what I think is illegal, these mandatory affordability mandates, was it housing affordability mandates? It only serves to increase the cost of living, because when developers have to subsidize X% of the rent, well, the remainder of the rents have to go above market rates. So no one is paying market rates. That is why, it just goes back to cost of living, my biggest pet peeve. And then I want to touch on what I said earlier, since I have time. If you want another parent, do not vote for anyone on this stage. Vote for the 6. All right? Thank you.
Tennille Cato. When it comes to homelessness, as a business owner, I have found that we are only as good as our weakest link. And right now, it's our homelessness. So the first thing I would do is give money to the businesses and the nonprofits, because we are an up-and-coming powerhouse for that, for both kids and adults. That's what provides the resources to the community, especially the homelessness. Nonprofit holistic wellness centers can treat them mentally and physically. That way we can help them be sustainable in the society. And as far as affordability, stop giving the builders more incentives to choose over making it affordable. If we make it not as easy to take the incentive and force them more to make it affordable, people will actually be able to afford housing. I was standing on land that used to be a school that is now supposedly affordable housing, and the person that was showing me is a business owner, a pastor, and a bunch of other things, and he couldn't even barely afford to live there. So if these policies were working, it wouldn't be increasing. Thank you, Tennille Cato.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that Seattle will be able to solve this problem by itself. It will never be able to solve it by itself. We have to build regionally, we have to address homelessness regionally, we have to address affordability and opioid addictions regionally. Our median house price is $770,000. In King County, it's $670,000. That's almost $300,000 more than what the median house price, what the median income can afford. We need to have a strategic plan from all the way down from Olympia up to Everett, where we work together and plan the Puget Sound area regionally. So get our tech CEOs, ST3, all the developers, neighborhoods, have them work together and plan this regionally. Anyone that tells you that Seattle, a landlocked and waterlocked city, is being able to drive down prices for all the Puget Sound area does not understand macroeconomics. Period, in the story. We have to stop forcing our homeless neighbors and opioid addicted neighbors all around the cities. We have to work together as a region.
Well, as somebody else touched on, affordability, what's it mean? It doesn't really mean anything. With the Seattle continually uses these catchphrase taglines, and nobody defines it. So I'll give you my definition. Affordability starts with not small business, that's demeaning, independent businesses. In order to have an affordable, vibrant city, you need independent businesses to be able to work, live, and raise their family in the city. They shouldn't have to live out in Renton unless they want to, and come in here. That's the start. Those are the people that build the culture and the background of a place. And manufacturing upgrades and capping rents doesn't work if you lose the culture. Example, if you go over into Little Saigon and you change it all, and you go into Chinatown and you change it all, you can affordable living it all you want and it won't be the same culture.
All right, I'm going to talk about what I think is different, because semi-agree, mostly agree, semi-agree, semi-agree. First and foremost, we need to change the words we're using. So right off the bat, like backing up, there's no such thing as a safe injection site. There's a suicide site.
Yeah.
There is a crime hub. There's no safe injection site.
Right.
So then homelessness. 20 years ago, we didn't call all these people homeless. We had different names for different groups, and then we decided that wasn't nice, and so we put them all in one category, and now they all get our empathy, and that is confusing the issue. So we need to get our terminology straight. Next, though, let's talk about affordable housing. I've talked to the head economist from Forbes, I've talked to the head economist for Windermere, I've talked to the largest landowners in Soto, the largest landowners in Fremont, and the largest landowners on Highway 99. They could fix our problem nearly instantly if we allowed them to. If we create incentives instead of disincentives, they will build what we need. If we don't create the incentives, they are going to sit on those properties for 8 more years, 16 more years, 30 more years, whatever it takes, until they get the incentives. So we just have to provide incentives that'll fix it for us.
Thank you, candidates, for observing the yellow and red flag. The next one's a little more involved. If you're elected mayor, your job will inevitably involve conflict. Conflict between you and special interest groups, between you and other city staff, between you and city council members. Drawing from your personal or professional experience, please give us a specific example of how you resolved a conflict between yourself and a coworker or a peer, and explain what you learned from that. Jason?
Dave, this sounds like a job interview question.
You're a job applicant.
Correct, sir. What I can tell you is that these conflicts come up every day. And I have to speak generally about this. Conflict is what really drives solutions. If everyone is sitting here in an echo chamber, nothing is going to get done. If I get up as the mayor of Seattle and everyone agrees with me, I'm doing something terribly wrong. Or really, really right. All I can say is that I require adverse opinions. I require my staff to feed back, to question my judgment. It is part of being a better human to admit when you're not right, to adjust, to adapt, to incorporate others' opinions, because you are not the end-all be-all. Neither am I. We need opinions. What makes us stronger?
As I've been saying since the 1st of March, if elected, I have no desire to seek a second term. So you're not going to see in year 3 of my term, we're going to fix the potholes now. No, we're going to fix the potholes on day 1, not on day 1 of year 4. So I don't want to seek another term. I will do what's right, not what is popular. If that makes me unpopular, so be it. My whole thing is to make government boring again. I don't want to have the daily news, the daily media talking constantly about City Hall. If we just focus on the basics, water, electricity, public safety, and roads, it'll be so boring. I won't see many conflicts, but even if there are, I don't care. I'm not going to just say what is popular. I will continue to just do what is right. Thanks.
Tenille Cato, Mayor of Seattle. Mayors enforce the law and contracts and maintain order. They appoint heads to make sure the job is done. So with that being said, first off, we would do just that. And anyone who challenged it would be responsible and prosecuted or whatever the case may be. At the same time, if there's a conflict, there has to be a way for both sides to be able to come to an even ground and be able to work them out in a positive way, to come to a common ground and agreement for all people. So I would just ask them, what can we do together to balance and bring this together for all people to be happy in this situation? And that's just how conflict resolution works. So as your mayor of Seattle, that is how I would handle the conflict. Thank you, Tanil Cato.
Conflict resolution always starts by doing a lot of listening, a lot of understanding, and then working towards a solution. I would be really large on data. I think we have to capture the data and let that decide a lot of our decisions. We need evidence-based solutions. All too often we rely on ideology to make our decisions, and ideology leads us down the wrong path. Really what we need is we need great ideas from both sides, let the data define what is right and what is wrong, and then let's make decisions based on that. All too often we just think that, hey, I just want to go down this path, this is the right thing to do, it sounds great, it's a miserable experiment, and we need to change that. So again, emotional intelligence, being willing to listen, being willing to show up. If I'm your mayor, I will be at the meetings, a lot of meetings, and I want you to be mad at me, and I want you to tell me what's going on, but I'll listen, I'll change my position if it's good data, and I think that's part of being emotionally intelligent. Thank you.
Well, what have I learned? I've learned what doesn't work when I'm the one that creates conflict. I've learned my weakness, which is to be the smartest guy in the room, or think I am, and come in and solve problems for people that don't think there's a problem. They're doing a great job. I had difficulty with that in my own family business. It was a very, very hard lesson. What positive lesson did I learn? In racing through my own driving and racing through building the race team of the hydroplanes, I learned to work with people, solve problems, and realize you can't do everything at once and be patient. I know how to look at somebody and say, I wrecked the car, it's my fault. And I know that when I manage the race team, if you were one of my guys and they made a mistake, it's my race team. It reflects on me. I take credit for it. As mayor, that's what I'll do.
I said at the beginning, I'm a former Army Ranger in Green Beret. I've almost died dozens of times, almost got people killed, and almost been killed by other people's decisions. This is actually easy. A leader's job is to build teams. Seattle's a ship, it needs a good captain. A captain wants mates that are competent, that can't be bullied, right? They need to be able to talk back to the captain. But the captain's job is to set the vision, to say, this is what I want to accomplish, this is where I want to go. But then he has to listen to the mates say, well, hey, there's maybe some problems with that, right? And then we need to negotiate the vision, but in the end, it's the captain's job to say, now we're doing it, regardless of what you think. Also, when the captain takes charge of a ship, it's a very good idea to make at least one person walk the gangplank. You have to make examples, and I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of being disliked. I'd rather be liked by everyone, but I know that being liked by everyone is impossible, so I'll take 90%, 95%, and I'll take the other percent being pissed off, and it won't bother me a bit.
Well, conflict resolution is my job. I mean, that's what I do every day. The people I come in contact with, I have to do it. I have to make decisions quickly. And that's part of what being a leader is, as many of these people have suggested. Listening to people, but also putting the right people in the right place. I mean, you have to be able to ascertain where people's strengths are, where your weaknesses lie, and get those right people around you. So that not just you, but everybody looks good. And everybody wins in that situation. This is not about me. This is not about what I want. As I said, I'm up here. This isn't easy. I mean, you could ask all of us. You know, I think all of us are doing this because we care. That's the most important thing. I'm putting aside my feelings. I'm sure a lot of these guys are. I mean, we care about the city. But we're doing this because we want to get up here and be a voice for the people that don't feel they can. And that's the big thing that a leader does. He tries to be a voice, or she tries to be a voice for the people that don't feel like they can get up there in front of everybody. But in turn, you are speaking for everybody.
Time for another question. What concrete changes would you make to the way City Hall operates? Which departments are in need of a shake? or do you think everything's going fine? Casey?
Perfect person.
We don't have time to discuss how many departments I would like to cut. But right now, I'll tell you two right off the top of my head. Arts and culture, music and film. Do I dislike those things? Of course not. But I don't want the city telling me we're funding artists or filmmakers. It's ridiculous. That's called propaganda. So when you have state-funded art, that's not art anymore. That's called propaganda or agitprop. So it is not the job of the city to tell me what looks pretty. I mean, I can't believe it's even got there in the first place. So yeah, I would cut 18 departments. Those are the two. Just like I said, make government boring again. Just focus on the non-partisan issues to make it so obscenely boring that no one talks about this anymore, and we just solve the actual problems that everyone cares about, regardless of ideology.
Tennille Cato, Mayor of Seattle. First off, before I would even call out anything, I would be in position to take a look at everything, to really evaluate them, to see what's really going on. And the reason why I say that is, as a grant writer going through process and procedures, they tell us Equal Opportunity Act, but when they ask you questions pertaining to race, sexuality, income, or crime, just as an example, it no longer becomes equal, so it's not what it appears to be, right? So first I would have to get in and really evaluate what is going on to determine what is working and what is not. And then coming straight from the people, together we would decide what that is towards the evolution. Tennille Cato, thank you.
I was on Google. The Seattle budget office has 1 star. I would go in there and basically we need cost control mechanisms. We need real-time data on budget, budget information. I would shake up homeless services. They need technology infusion. They need evidence-based solutions, and they have to stop the crony contracting. I would shake up Seattle City Light. The head of Seattle City Light wants a raise from $350,000. He was $34 million over on budget on the billing system, $12 million over on budget on the smart meter system, and he's $90 million short of his projected revenue. So I would start at least there. I would shake the city council and tell them that they need to have their meetings at night so residents can show up and participate in discussions. I would start there, but I would go through every single budget, every single office, and infuse technology and budget controls. Thank you.
He did not like that
Well, the first thing is I don't want to come in and break trust. I got to build the respect of the people that are there. I have to assume they know their jobs better than me. They know where the money is. They know where it goes. They know where the waste is. I learned that in the production family. I learned that in racing. So the first thing is not to go after anything, but to set the mantra of building efficiencies. How do you become more effective and more efficient with what it is each department wants to do? They have a reason and a belief in doing it, and they have their own constituents that want that. Based on the success of their ability to improve that efficiency, you're going to know who to move, who to get rid of, what programs succeed and fail based on analytics. And just to set the tonal mantra is to independently audit the over $1 billion mayor's budget so we can all see where the money really is and where it goes. And you got to lead by example.
Okay, once again, what I'll do different. So first, I'm not going to fire people. First, I'm going to hire a couple people. And I know who's going to make people walk the gangplank. The mayor has the ability as the executive to hire and fire a bunch of department heads. The problem with the ship is when we make a course correction on the ship, there's going to be 1,000 or so people that are going to attempt a mutiny because they're ideologically hired.
The people that are heads of the departments are in fact the problem. The people in charge of SDOT are in fact the problem. The people in charge of the police department are in fact the problem. Not the men and women doing the job, but the people in charge. The entire head has to come off the beast. And we're going to have to get rid of a lot of people. And I'm not afraid to do that. We are going to have the police department, we're going to have 100 police officers every morning for the first month at City Hall because they're going to be escorting people off the property.
I'm like Larry, I'm not going to go in and just fire people and get rid of people, although there are some people that I would like to do that. I want to put people in positions to succeed. What I want to do is hold them accountable. Just like they want everybody else to do, the police department, the fire department, teachers. That's what our council says all the time. They want to hold people accountable. Well, it's about time they start being held accountable. Give them a chance to sink themselves or do the job. If they can't do the job, we're going to get people, all these people who are amazing, by the way, to do the job and do it right. That's what's wrong with our city, is we keep having people in charge, as we said, who don't do their job, who constantly get accommodations, who constantly get raises. That's not taking care of the people. That's not taking care of anyone except themselves. So the first thing I would do is start holding people accountable.
Big question here. Listen, there's a lot of waste in our city government. I come from a long line of city workers. My father was a city engineer. My grandfather was a police officer. Many of my uncles have worked for SDOT. The one story that I hear that reoccurs is the systematic abuse of the budget. For example, let's just take one example, and this is unilateral across all the budgets. Towards the end of the year, if they haven't spent their budget, they will race to spend their budget. They will approve overtime in whatever department they have to spend in order to receive the same budget the following year. That protocol needs to end immediately. Among many other programs that, like Casey, not the arts and culture, but many other useless programs need to be cut. There are lots of things that we can do. My plan is to cut at least 1% off the city budget, which would save about $57 million that could go a long way to funding those detox centers I've been talking about.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm really glad I came.
We're glad you were invited.
Tennille, you're up first. What's your position on a new sports arena for Seattle? Do you think we need another arena? If so, where should it be located? At Key Arena or in the Soto District? And if any candidate doesn't care much about this topic, you can talk about something.
I'm going to be honest. I'm more for what the people want, where you want it, which one you would want, and so forth. Because I don't have a choice. Even though I grew up here, I don't have a choice in that. I would be good either way. So I would take, that's where I would be inclusive and say, what would you want? What is your idea? What is your concern with that? Absolutely, because then it gives it back to you to make the decision instead of me. Tennille Cato for mayor. Thank you.
I've talked to thousands of people, and like 5 have said they want it up in Key Arena. Most people say they want it down in Soto. There are some things we have to address, though. The port system. The port's a mess anyway. We need to actually rethink how we get in and out of there so we don't stop that freight, so we can grow the port really, really well. So that has to be done in conjunction with the Soto, but we really should dedicate an on-ramp to get specifically onto I-5 for that heavy freight, and possibly have a rail system dedicated to moving freight to a distribution center. But as long as the public's not paying for it, and Chris Hansen wants to step up and pay for it, I say Soto, and then my job is to go to the NBA and the NHL and tell them how much money they're leaving on the table, because Seattle's an awesome sports town. It's world class. We have we're access to Asia and other great places. So we'd be great for their brand, and I think the city really wants it, from what I hear. Thank you.
I got a big personal vested interest in the Sonics. Been going since Haywood played as a little kid. Actually went to DC both years and watched them play. I'm a fanatical Sonic. So if you ask me what I personally want, I moved down to Key Arena. I have all the history of Key Arena. I love Key Arena. I want Key Arena. But as mayor, I got a different hat. I have a completely different responsibility, the responsibility to the season. To the city. The city of Seattle does not need 21,000 people versus a 14,468 or something like that stadium to clog up what is now 5 neighborhoods. It's a safety hazard and a soft target. It's stupid. Not to even add that basic fire and safety getting around without that there is bad. So it makes no sense. I have access here, and I can work with the council if the port already talked to me.
Seattle has great sports fans. We also have the largest population of people that don't care about sports. Both groups of people deserve to get what they want, actually, and we can give them both what they want. Because what non-sports fans want is they don't want to pay for it. Right? They also don't want to be stuck in the traffic for it. We have a transportation hub where the ferries, the trains, the roads, everything go to. That's why we put 2 stadiums there. That's why we have the parking lots there. It's the only thing that makes any sense. The only reason to put it anywhere else is because somebody's in somebody's pocket and there's graft. And this comes from a person that, saw rock concerts and sports shows at Key Arena 30 years ago, when 30 years ago was great. It's not great, it's stupid. Put it where it makes sense, let other people pay for it, everybody wins.
I am a big sports fan, so I do want the Sox back. I really want NHL here as well. I live on Queen Anne, and there's no way that area can support a team right now, or 2 teams, or any teams. So I'm for Soto. And I agree with a lot of what's been said here. I'm going to put a little different spin on it. The reason that our city council and our city doesn't want to have this independent arena, this privately owned arena, is because they're not going to make money out of it. Again, it's all about the money. Okay? What I would do, the proposal that I... Whoa.
This is my big moment. We're going to investigate this.
So what I would propose to do, just like we talked about, just like we talked about, make both sides happy. Keep the city happy with Key Arena. Keep it so that you still have venues there, you still have the Storm there, you still have other things going on there. Make it so this private arena signs a contract for the first 10 years. All they can do is be a sports arena. All they can do is house an NHL and NBA team. That way, you're going to still draw money as a city from events at the Queen Anne, and then you're going to have the private function downtown, and Soto.
This issue was solved years ago. I mean, Soto is the only option. It's shovel ready. It uses no taxpayer money. Hanson's ready to build the Lander overpass. It requires a small street vacation. That's about it. The Seattle City Council and the Mayor's office is completely disingenuous with this. They're looking at a free renovation for one of their properties. That's what Key Arena is all about. There are way too many questions left on the table. How much public money is involved? What the rent situation is going to be like there. They haven't even decided if they can put a hockey team in it. It is not even remotely decided what they can do there. Soto's the only solution. What they need to do is come up with a plan for the Seattle Center. They have a wasted campus. The arena there is already doing well with with concerts and with the Storm. It's profitable. The rest of the campus, not so much. Just go online and try to find a budget for the Seattle Center. It's losing money in general, and that's why they're trying to put something there.
Before this question, we were talking about some pretty serious issues, and now we're talking about entertainment. Barf. So, come on, guys. It is not the role of government to be entertaining us. It doesn't matter how I feel about the Sonics. The fact is, if the market wants it, it'll come here. Not a dime of public money should be spent on any sports team whatsoever. The city should sell Key Arena as soon as possible to the highest bidder. The end. If it's a sound business plan, it'll thrive. If not, if people are not as diehard Sonics fans as we think, then they're going to go away. But it should not be the problem of government. And then when people are like, "Oh my God, but they're my Sonics," I say, do you enjoy the government spending your money on the Seattle Symphony? And then they get quiet. And they're like, wait, we spend money on Seattle Symphony? So again, it doesn't. My opinion doesn't matter. It's entertainment is entertainment. This is not a problem. This shouldn't even be part of the discussion, David. So, just focus on the basics, guys. That's it.
Harley, you're up next to this question. The current mayor has tried to position Seattle on the national and even the international stage. For better or worse, he seems to have succeeded. Do you envision Seattle as a leader for the rest of the country? Paint us a picture.
I think we have an opportunity to be a leader for the rest of the country, but honestly, I have to get my nose to the grindstone and fix what's wrong in Seattle first. We have so many other problems right now that have to be addressed. If I'm pulled to answer a question or take a position, I'll absolutely stand up and take a position on that. But really, I think this is half the problem, is our eyes are right now are trying to be, hey, look at Seattle. We're the first place to get safe injection sites. Don't ask us about if we have a detox center readily available. We're the first people in the country to do all these great systems, but all too often these things we do lead law enforcement assisted diversion. We have this great program, except we can't refer these people that are struggling with addiction to anything, whether it's mental health services or opioid services. So we have way too many facades and way too many things that look great on the national stage. But when you look under the hood, we have nothing there. We have to fix what's here.
Leading Seattle for the national stage. Barf. Let's get real. If we make stuff work for Seattle and Seattleites are happy and we're effective and efficient and our traffic kicks ass and moves for the dollars we spend, of course we're going to be the best, because Seattle's already the greatest place in the world. It's just we got city council and elitist programs blanking it all up. I mean, let's be real here. So let's get results, and we'll be known around the United States for effective spending, quality results, efficient transportation, and happy people that trust the government. There's an idea. You give us the public trust for all your assets, air rights, money, and everything else, and you thank us for keeping that trust. That'll put us on the stage.
We're the 18th largest city in the nation. We already lead the way in many things. Probably most of you don't know, we invented things like organic food, the TILF organization, the Master Gardener program, things that are worldwide, actually. So we already lead the way, but I'm going to approach this slightly differently. Our job as the mayor, my job as the mayor, is not to be involved in federal politics. You have representatives that are supposed to take your case to the federal level. Right? And if you don't think that your case is being taken to the federal level correctly, you need to fire Patty Murray and Marie Cantwell. That being said, the mayor needs to have, because there's duties from the federal government to us, the mayor needs a relationship with the federal government, needs a relationship with the executive, and it can't always be adversarial. It has to be both cooperative and adversarial when necessary, right? They have to have a respectful relationship because we need things from them. And, when we do certain things, they're going to pull millions, billions of dollars off the table if we keep fighting them.
James Norton. As I said before, part of being a leader is being the voice for the people that don't feel they have a voice anymore. And part of that, I think, and part of being a leader is doing what's right by your city. That's the most important thing. As I said, our city government has forgotten that it works for the people, the local businesses. our unique neighborhoods and communities. That's what I would focus on. And if we took care of the things that we need to take care of, that would make us a leader. People would come to us. We don't have to constantly go out and search and say, hey, look at me. I feel like that's what our mayor does. He constantly wants to be on a stage showing how wonderful he is when he's not really taking care of anything. A good leader sits back, puts things in motion, facilitates for other people to take the spotlight, and watches good things happen and good things grow. And that's what I want to do. I don't want it, again, to be about me. I want it to be about our city and everybody else prospering.
When I got into this race in January, it was Ed Murray primarily that inspired me. I found he was so disingenuous while he stands in front of the media on the national stage talking about how liberal and progressive Seattle is and how he's going to stand up to Trump. We all know he's a fucking asshole. We get it. But you are a fraud, Mr. Murray. You stand in office while we have the biggest wage disparity we've ever had in the history of our city. We have the most homeless we've ever had in our history of our city. The most drug addiction. The worst disparity of any kind. The people of Seattle have suffered under Ed Murray. All while he waves his freak flag as the biggest progressive liberal in the country. It is a lie. And that is why I ran to expose him for what he is. Unfortunately, somebody beat me to the punch.
Can you repeat the question, please?
The current mayor has tried to position Seattle on the national and even international stage. For better or worse, he seems to have succeeded. You envision Seattle as a leader for the rest of the country? Paint us a picture.
Yeah, I just don't care about how we look to the rest of the country. I only care about Seattleites in our own very city. So, like Greg said, it is not for the mayor to tell you what to do, like as far as federal laws are concerned. And then, like Tennille said at the very beginning, I mean, I just want people to feel secure in Seattle. I do not care at all as mayor how other cities look. What was it like? Was it March or April that Murray was having dinner with de Blasio, New York's mayor? Like, why? It's just like Jason said. It is a farce. It's grandstanding at its finest. I'm sick of it. Just trying to be real with these real guys right here on stage.
Tennille Cato, Mayor of Seattle. This is an evolution. It's time for change. Clearly, a lot of things haven't been working because we have a lot of crisis in the city. So just imagine starting here, building a model that can go universal. We're already an up-and-coming powerhouse that already attracts a lot of attention. So the economic growth and development of our city to take care of us to be emotionally and economically healthy will not only generate the revenue and the income to provide the funds for the crises, but once we save our own city, it will attract other people to come to and from Seattle to add to that revenue and that income to circulate, to give us more economic growth and development equal to all people. So starting here, showing the rest of the world what we can do here and make that universal will really be change for all people all over the world, or at least the U.S. Tennille Cato, Mayor for Seattle.
Larry, you're up first on this one. What's your plan for dealing with the crisis of opioid addiction? Do you support so-called safe injection sites? Why or why not?
Well, I think if we look around at each other, we probably don't have to look very far to know somebody that has an addiction or a mental thing. I mean, it's real. I won't dump it on somebody's neighborhood. It's wrong to dump it in a neighborhood, completely. If a neighborhood actually wants to embrace it and work on a way to make it work for them and they have a way to help socially police it, that's a whole different story. But I'm not going to be, personally, I don't like the idea at all. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it, and I won't force it. To handle the problem, first, we got to handle people right when they first have a problem. Prevention and treatment are really the only two things. So we spend all this money. Let's catch the people before the actual low of the low becomes their peers.
The mayor's first job is to make sure the law's enforced. Using heroin is against the law. So we can't do that. Now, if people want to break the law, they can break the law, but we can't enable that. That cannot be what we do. We are allowed as a society to have minimum standards and say what those are, and that's not mean. Anybody here ever done an intervention? Did you invite the person over with all your friends and say, hey, what we want to tell you is we know you're an addict and you have problems, so anytime you want to do your heroin, just come to our house? No. If you don't enforce the speed limit, you're going to get more speeders. It's very simple. If we do this, if we elect any of these 6 anointed idiots, this problem quadruples in less than 4 years. I put $100 on it right now. So no, we're not going to do that. We're going to have minimum standards. We're going to say we're going to enforce law. That said, we are going to help people that need help. But they need to have an incentive. It has to be harder to keep doing what you're doing than it is to change, or you won't change. We have to, right now it's too easy to not change.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback. It's exactly what Greg said. I mean, allowing people to do that, first of all, it's against the law. Second of all, to me, what you're saying to this person is, your life is over. We understand that. You do these terrible things to your body, but it's okay as long as you do it out of sight. That is the most inhumane thing I've ever heard in my life. People want to sit there and say, oh, well, you know, they won't overdose if they go to these places. That's not true at all. Because 1 out of 12 times that these people, the people that are substance abusers, go to these places, they then go back out into our alleys, our driveways, our bathrooms in our cities, and they do it again. This isn't a way to fix it, it's a way to enable them. And that's what we have to stop. We have to give them a reason to stop doing it, as Greg said, and put them in a position to make themselves better. Challenge them. Don't just let them wallow in this horrible lifestyle.
I want to take a moment to point out that you do not have to speak solely to the safe injection site part of the question. The broader question was the opioid addiction crisis. But you may choose to address safe injection sites if you wish.
If you know me, you know that this issue has seriously affected my life. I've lost family members to this. I think that there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the safe injection sites are about. I don't have time to go into that now, but I respect the hell out of people that are trying to do something because nothing is being done. These people aren't trying to create, a place for people to get high. They're trying to do a difference. That said, I disagree with them. I think that they're putting the cart before the horse. What we need is detox centers. We need treatment programs. There are revolutionary new drugs that have come out in the last few years that are opioid blockers, like Suboxone and Vivitrol. There are things that will cut the time of detox down. We can get people on programs. We can provide them medical care. We can get them counseling. We don't need to safe sites. That's where I would focus my money, is on rehabilitation.
Even if it were legal, I don't think it's right or even just to have the public aid and abet someone's habit. I do not share the same experience that Jason has suffered through. So this is going to sound cold. I apologize for that, but people need to be able to deal with their own decisions. So it's very paternalistic was what I'm hearing up here, and I don't like it. I like everybody up here, but I don't like this paternalistic idea. Let people make their own decisions and let people deal with the consequences of their own decisions. And when I hear this relates to any issue really, but when I care so much about and then insert whatever pet issue you want, that I want to force everyone else to care about it, that is just lazy, pessimistic, and pretentious. I'm not a fan. So, to answer your question directly, not in favor at all of safe injection sites, solely because I don't want other people's money to help get other people high.
Tennille Cato. Instead of any type of site, I would propose nonprofit holistic wellness centers. Coming straight from the people, I hear that a lot of times they are escaping from something initially when they start to do something or abuse something. So to find out what that root problem is first and then treat them from there mentally and physically is what I propose in a nonprofit holistic wellness center. Nonprofit so that they don't have to worry about insurance covering it or not being able to afford the treatment. And it covers such a broad range of treatments that nutritiously, emotionally, physically, they can be treated and then sustainable in society like everyone else. So instead of any type of site, nonprofit holistic wellness centers. Tennille Cato.
I think we have to stop creating drug addicts. Right now we're overprescribing oxycodone and OxyContin. In Massachusetts and New Jersey, they've limited the prescriptions to 3 to 5 day supply. I think it's a really good start. Chris Christie and other governors are actually converting parts of their prisons and jail systems directly to detox. We have to expand the detox facilities in multiple ways. King County cut their detox facilities and they're spending from $4.1 to $1.4 million. What we have to realize is we have fentanyls moving into Seattle eventually. Once that does, we'll lose 10,000, we'll lose thousands of people a year. We see this up in Vancouver, who actually has safe injection sites. Their death rate is up 500%. So you might live inside the safe injection site one night, but you're more likely going to die outside eventually. The other thing we can do is have insurance companies cover detox and rehab services, and there's a lot more we can talk about. So Harley Lever, thank you.
I would like to thank all the candidates for speaking so concisely to the questions. I really appreciate that. I haven't seen a lot of that in some of the Another thing I just want to take a moment to point out is to remind us why we all came here. And it's because of some of those answers you just heard. If you talk to other people in the city, if you read the papers and check the internet, you would think that every single person in this city is for safe injection sites. And we find that that is not the case. Some of these candidates are somewhat for them, maybe, but a lot of the candidates are not in favor of that. So that's just a reminder of why we're all here tonight, to get the whole story, to get everyone's take on this. So the next question, we'll start back with Greg. Politics seems to have created a rift in our city. As mayor, you will likely have critics on your first day in office. What will you do to win over the critics and unite the city?
First, I want to remind people that I'm trying to talk about what's different about me. So I may sound like a cold-hearted bastard, but well, I am. No, but I'm not. If you've seen Team America, you know there's only 3 types of people in the world, right? So I agree with helping people. I just think we need to understand it. Going back to the question. So critics, what will I do to win people over? Well, 1, I'll ignore the critics, and 2, I'll be successful. Next, we'll just take the power back to the people. People are disenfranchised, like we've already said. I had my first business website in 1996, and the city's website is worse than that. So there's no reason we're not leveraging technology to engage people. There's no reason we can't have community discussions where the people in the discussions are vetted, so we don't have these activists taking over the discussions. And we could do a lot of stuff online before we even have to meet in person. And we're going to take the power back to the people, and we're going to take it away from the special interest groups and away from city council, and I don't really care what they think of me.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit what my critics think. In my department, my upper echelon doesn't like to come to roll call when I'm there because I call them on their bullshit. It is very uncomfortable for them. And let me tell you something, that's not easy as a patrol officer because I'm at the bottom, but I guess they really can't do much else. They're not going to fire me. I agree. I'm not worried about critics. You know, I put on a bulletproof vest every day. These are things that don't concern me. What concerns me is doing the right thing, taking care of the people in our city, the people that matter, the people that contribute to the health and welfare of our city, the people that work hard, that are finding our city unlivable. Those are the people that matter to me. Those are the people that have a voice. I don't care about the critics. The critics are people that usually the decisions that I make are not going to even affect them. They have nothing better to do but to stand outside and yell about what they're unhappy about. If they had something to do, something to go to, that's what they would be doing.
In politics, if you have a 52% approval rating, they're saying you're doing a bang-up job. That means there's a hell of a lot of critics out there. And let's not spend time worrying about what the critics are going to think. What the mayor of this city needs to understand is that it is a non-partisan position. You may identify as a Democrat, a Libertarian, or a Republican, but you represent everybody in this city. And trust me, I have talked to both sides of the fence, and I have something in common with everyone. But you need to make equitable decisions based on the well-being of the entire city. No special interest groups, no party preference, no divisive politics. This is about getting things done. And that's what we have been missing in this mayoral office for decades.
As a libertarian, I feel uniquely qualified for this in that my politics are anti-politics. So I'm trying to focus on just, again, I'm going to focus on the nonpartisan issues, the boring stuff. And if I were religious, I would pray to God I have critics, because that's the only way I would know for sure that I'm doing something. I mean, if I'm rocking the boat, I want the critics to be knocking on my door day and night. Just make government boring again. I'm a libertarian. That's not a Republican, by the way.
Tennille Quinto. There's critics all the time. I mean, when is there not any critics? So that's where my human relations would come in and just address them accordingly. A lot of times I give people a way out. I might even stroke their ego a little bit, give them a way out of the conversation to make them feel like they won the situation, because at the end of the day, it's not about my emotions or my opinions, it's about facts. So if it has anything pertaining to those, it really is irrelevant. So as an example, I say, I totally understand how you feel this way, and then give them a door and a way out of the situation. So there's always critics. Thank you, Tennille Quinto.
I feel I have a distinct advantage in this. I've been criticized for the last 2.5 years for everything that I've tried to do. I've been called NIMBY, I've been called anti-homeless. I hit the pinnacle last week. Someone actually took my yard sign and made a flaming tent in the middle of it. So I have critics today. What they don't realize, or what their biggest problem is I'm shining a bright light on their failures. I will outwork them, I will outsmart them, I will build a better team than they do, and resolve the issues that they have. We're going to have critics, and you always notice the people that like to complain about things and like to bitch about things, the problem is that they'll never join in and be a part of the solution. And my job is to make a great team to fix these problems. At the end of the day, when these problems are fixed and addressed, they can criticize me all they want, because the issues will be resolved. So I look forward to the criticism, and even more, I look forward to proving them wrong.
Sitting around a dinner table with a family of 6 and selfish interest in a family business, I've experienced being critical. I've experienced all sorts of stuff. In racing, you get criticized all the time. In life, you get criticized. There's a difference between You just don't take it personal. You go through life knowing there's people that are just not going to like you. That's a fact. That's different than somebody criticizing what you do, because there's truth within that. You must never forget and look for that truth. It ain't personal. If they make it personal, it's their problem. And by doing that, you learn, you change, and you get results, and you satisfy the most people. And getting results is what teamwork is all about. So I've been the critic of my business. I've been on the board and had to put on a different hat and realized, wait, that doesn't matter so much. So respect the critics. They have a point. They have their own flag individuality, and they're married.
James, what's your take on the traffic situation? Will ST3 solve our problems, or do we need to be doing more right now? If so, what do we need to be doing?
Well, on my website, I talk about that. I mean, SC3, I think the vision is great. I think the idea of having this, incredible light rail system all over our city is great. But it's not reality, or it's not going to be reality for a long time. We need some solutions right now. We have to understand that we are a landlocked area, and we can't just make new roads. I want to revisit bike lanes. There's some that are being used, some that aren't being used. Make the ones that are being used safer for those people traveling in them. The ones that aren't being used, we're putting back to traffic. I want our construction companies to only take up one lane, not 2 and 3 during peak hour times. I'm so sick of that. And I want to try and do something with people that actually have to commute to our city. Give them some type of voucher or some type of break, where the people that are commuting and people that do commute with them, where they actually receive some type of benefit for that. Not just the companies they work for, but a direct benefit to the employees.
We are woefully behind on ST3 and any other major improvements to our traffic infrastructure. It is going to be years before it's completed. So in the meantime, we need to focus on the immediate improvements that we have. We do have to revisit the bike lanes. We need to reconsider how we run freight through this city, because that is one thing that has just been constantly neglected. We have a viaduct that's about to go down. When that thing is rebuilt, we need to keep an eye on how we're going to move freight through that area, maximize it for traffic, and make sure that we can get the most amount of freight through that area. As far as, we're really screwed. I'm not going to lie on this one. I'm really not going to lie. One of my ideas is I would really like to subsidize workers for living close to where they work. Like if you live in South Lake Union and you work at Amazon, well, you get a rent subsidy. If you live a block away from your work, so be it. Well, we can go on for hours on this one.
I touched about data zoning in my opening statement. Something that I would like to couple with that is a complete property tax overhaul. So I would like to change the way we tax property. The way we do that is implement what is called a land value tax. This is not my idea. This is 200 years old. It is being implemented in Pittsburgh to some extent. But what does this do? If we tax only the land instead of what is on it, it incentivizes denser growth. So when you have denser growth, you have less need of to commute via car from one part to another. I really think that's the best way to go about doing this. But of course, we don't see that here because of spineless politicians as well as their unquenchable thirst for other people's money. So if we just tax that, did I say it's greener? Yeah, that's also greener. Denser is greener. That is why cities are greener than rural areas. I got booed for this, by the way, at West Seattle, this sponsor here. So the way to make us even more greener is to make it more dense. So incentivize growth, don't force it, just incentivize it.
Senor Cato, first off, I appreciate the plan, but I do believe it can be reconstructed. And once we can evaluate where a lot of our funds are going that could go towards that project, I would reevaluate the plan as a blueprint. And we would prioritize what is needed the most and fund that. And one of the things I do believe in is the sidewalk project, some of the congestions, the biking, the roads, things of that nature. So first I would have to look at the blueprints, see where some of the money is going. So as an example, instead of sidewalks and signs, invest it more into projects that are immediate and priority to fixing the problem. I would start there. Thank you, Tino Cato.
I think the very first thing we should do is have smart traffic lights. We sit at untimed traffic lights. Even at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're just waiting for 4 minutes. Secondly, I think we, like James said, let's revisit the bike lanes. Let's expand the ones that are working, remove the ones that are not. Let's incentivize Amazon and other major corporations to emulate Microsoft's connector. Have them ship around their people. I think that'd be a good idea. My out-of-the-box idea is to have a urban gondola system. They do it in Cali, Colombia, Turkey, Russia. Right now, Chicago, Miami, and New York are considering it. We live on 7 hills. We can move for $4.1 million. We can move 4,000 people per hour in each direction. Right now, we're spending $156 million on light rail. We can't stuff any more buses, cars, bikes, and trains on the same exact roads. We have to think up and innovatively. And then we can't build ST3 fast enough. And ST3 will never meet the demands of our population growth.
Well, I'd say ST3 is highway robbery, but instead most of the money's going to some of the highest priced rail per mile in the world. Seriously, boondoggle. But it's a state issue. I'm the mayor, so I'll help you fight with them. But what I won't do is rip you off by baiting and switching some program. What can we do here as mayor? Well, first of all, look at the really smart people we have, and let's make the concept of traffic flow and time of transit one of the higher functions. You may not know it, but I've lived by I-90 all my life. Time of flow, transit time, is a low or zero function. It's all about ridership. Okay? And then bicycle lanes. I'm not going to pick or choose. I'm the mayor. I'm responsible for the safety of all of you. When you take a bicycle lane and you put potted plants there, fire and rescue can't use those lanes when the natural disaster happens. It's wrong. It's unsafe.
So once again, when I talk about what makes me different, I agree with most of what's been said. Let's just admit it, we all got left holding the bag by the past generations. They made bad decisions, and we got left holding the bag. The third of 4 things that caused me to run is I read a quote that's 2,000 years old that said, "A society is strong when old men plant trees that they shall never enjoy the shade of." When did we become so selfish it's all about me and my generation? We're going to build this damn thing. The only question is how we do it, if we make it effective, if we get good value for our dollar. We have to build a transportation system. We have no choice. Let's quit arguing about it and let's just get it done well. We're not going to have the monorail boondoggle again. We're not going to have all this garbage that we've had in the past where we do it halfway and quit. Let's do it right. Let's get it done, and let's do even more than that. Right? We have to get this done. We have to give the next generation something of value.
We have Jason now? Okay. We've all read about the tragic death of Charlene Lawrence. Some of you may also know about the similar death of Tommy Lee, a young Vietnamese man. Is there anything that you would suggest doing differently as a city that could have prevented these deaths? And you may also speak to police-citizen relations in your response.
I think first and foremost, we need to get the body cameras in place. Because there are too many questions after these issues as to what really happened. I wasn't there, none of you were there, but we're left speculating and pointing the finger at the police. It's entirely unfair to just blanketly blame the entire police department over a particular issue that affected only one of these officers. That said, globally, there needs to be some accountability happening for when officers do commit crimes. Furthermore, there needs to be better training and, especially in the case of Charlene Lyles, perhaps non-lethal combat training to fight someone with a knife rather than to just immediately end their life. I think that there could have been different decisions made. And I'm not the person to sit there and point and tell the police officer how to do their job. They're protecting all of us. And while there needs to be accountability, there can't be just universal blame on the police force when no one can really stand in their shoes and understand what they've done.
I agree, first of all, that Lyle's death is tragic. However, what makes me sick is when people blame her death on this cool buzzword called intersectionality. That is total garbage. When you come at officers with a knife, you will probably get shot. I really wish that they had non-lethal means of defending themselves, but like you said, we weren't there. I wasn't there. It's too easy for us to judge. And with that, I'm going to yield the rest of my time, which is over 30 seconds, to the actual police officer on stage.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, it's a really tough issue. But I'm going to tell you, this is the way we are trained, and it's just what Casey said. A person with a knife is considered a deadly threat. We are trained to stop that threat. We are trained to use the means we have necessary. The means we have necessary for a lot of officers is our weapon. Not all officers carry tasers. In fact, I don't carry a taser. Not all officers have a billy club. I don't always carry my billy club. A way to prevent this would be to involve more people in the mental health industry. You're constantly putting officers in a position to fail when you're sending them to respond to people with mental health issues. Police officers' job is to keep people safe and to uphold the law. A person with a history of mental illness needs more than a police officer who has responded in the past. This person already looks at a police officer and gets amped up when they see them coming, because you know what we've done in the past? We have somehow detained them, either put them in jail or put them in some facility. Do you think sending a police officer is the best way to handle that? We have to involve their families, we have to involve the mental health professionals, we have to involve the community. This is not just a police issue, and I'm tired of people saying that the police need more training. They don't need more training. They might need different training, but they don't need more training. The officers did what they were trained to do.
That was a very gracious gesture, Casey, but we're going to try to keep that to a minimum, yielding time to others, just because it discombobulates the order so much. And it could be a fairness issue. In this case, James got a minute and a half, so when we get that's fine. I mean, we gave it to you, but when we get around to you, we're gonna skip you because your turn's been taken. So now it's Tennille. Thank you.
Tennille Cato. First off, clearly there was an issue in the process procedures throughout the whole entire situation. So first, as mayor, we would take out the dividers that divides all of us in the community, and that goes for the civilians and the police officers. Coming from both sides of the spectrums are different perspectives. I knew that girl, I knew her family, and she had mental illnesses, and she did have disparities within the agencies that were helping her to where she could have got the proper help. So when the police officer came and approached her, and her believing from experience that she was in danger just from watching the media put that divider between both communities, is why from different perspectives we clash in conflict. So both sides have to be educated about each other so that we can bridge the gap and believe in the system, and the system believe in us again, so that when we come to these situations, our guard isn't up immediately and we can trust each other. We'll deal with that situation accordingly. Tennille Cato, thank you.
And one thing that Tacoma is doing now is they actually pair police officers with mental health professionals in specific squads. I think that's something we have to do immediately. As James says, And it's not the police officer's job to get a master's degree or PhD in psychology. Second, we should step back and realize that the mental health system failed, Charlene. This shouldn't have happened in the first place. Third, I think we need to have body cameras on every single police officer. We need to have tasers or non-lethal force or non-lethal option with every single police officer. Most importantly, we need to realize that knives are deadly. We saw this happen down in Portland where two people were killed and one person was severely injured. This idea that we can have this Hollywood type solutions and disarm a person with a knife is very Hollywood-like, and it doesn't play out in reality. But so to reiterate, let's get mental health professionals with police officers in special squads. Thank you.
A lot of people might not know, but in the 60s we had a lot of problems with kind of the legitimacy of the police and racial tensions, and they came up with a plan to work together, the community and the officers, and that seems to have been lost. And if we're going to be the alleged melting pot of society, we need to work with the communities, we need to work with the police, and we need to define a common ground and a common rule of engagement. I grew up in Rainier Valley. I could never understand why my friends would run when we got stopped, but they did. I mean, dude, what you doing? But it is. There's an innate fear that I'll never know. I grew up in Rainier Valley with all these people. I don't know it. I have a mixed son. When he'd take the 20-year-old Mercedes down into Rainier Valley, I'd go, dude, you don't live in the penthouse. If you get pulled over, you could be anybody, the mixed kid in the old black Mercedes. You just gotta know. So we gotta start with mental health and all that.
So during this campaign, I've tried not to promote myself very much in my business, but I run a business called Insights Training Center, the largest provider of self-defense training and firearms training in the nation practically. I teach police officers, I teach military, etc. It wasn't really a failure of the police department. This was the 23rd call to her apartment. She thought her children were turning into wolves. Right? This is not a problem with the police. There was statistical analysis done down in Belltown where two officers checked on their contacts, and in 12 months they had 2,000 contacts with 72 people, the same 72 people. This is the actual problem. The actual problem is there's a percentage of people that need something besides being out on the street. I'm not going to say what that is. I'm not saying whether they need to be in a mental health facility or be in jail. I don't know all the different options, but they need something besides being on the street, because if you ask police officers to interact with people this many times, one of them's going to go sideways.
Thank you. Go back to Casey. Where are you on the income tax? This will be the last question.
So even if it were legal, I would still be against it. And again, we don't have to theorize. Look at New York. They have a Manhattan borough tax. I mean, it's just punishing people for a certain income level is, I thought that's discrimination. Like all these so-called progressives who are, that fill City Hall, they love to say how they love diversity, they don't discriminate. This is the definition of discrimination. It is pathetic. It is a farce. The best way to Trump-proof Seattle, as they say, is to severely cut City Hall's budget. That not rip off all the people that happen to be successful and also employing people.
Okay, so first off, I believe there's other ways to generate money and income than to take it from the people. So I believe in economic growth and development. There's tons of money available for businesses, and for that we can give them more to give more to the employees and take less from them. So that's what I propose, is taking less from the people and more from the government. Thank you.
Yeah, so the city, the income tax is illegal. Even if they wanted to pass it today, it's going to take 10 years before they ever could. But I couldn't look anybody in the eye right now and say that we're doing a good job with our tax money. We were $378 million over just in cost overruns. That is a staggering amount of money. We could have put 54,000 people through detox. We could have put 26,000 students through college for all 4 years. So I can't look anyone in the eye. They've tried to tax their way out of every single problem that they have, yet have they ever tried to fix the solutions? Let's integrate technology all through Seattle. Let's bring in Six Sigma so we understand, are we running as lean as possible? Let's have budget control so we understand in real-time data if we're actually going to run over our cost controls, not find out after the invoices come in. There are so many things that we can do to drive down our costs, become more efficient, and a smart government approach is exactly where that resides. So I could not look at any one of you and say, I have to tax you anymore.
Well, I think you know who I am, and my wife says I don't look like the hat, so we'll get rid of it. I'm totally against an income tax. I was the only one I saw out of everyone running that even went to the income tax meeting. That's how much I think it's ridiculous. And for people to vilify other people, it's wrong in every level. And what kills me the worst, it's how disingenuous the city council is, who has preached to me my entire life how regressive sales tax is, and then money grabs it every time they turn around, and people just keep voting them in. You have a chance to rally the people that don't normally vote to get somebody in that can get dollar return results for the money you already pay. We have people that pay for SRT-3 because they don't know what to do and they trust the government, okay? Imagine what people with money will do if you show them a return for the dollar they're paying.
I'm going to talk more philosophically about it. Of course, no, I'm not for it. The problem we have is our politicians, not just in Seattle but everywhere, have learned how to win while losing. I'm going to explain that. They're going to lose this fight, right? It's not going to be upheld. It's going to cost all of us money to fight this in court, but they already won. Because their whole reason for doing it was to signal and wave a flag and say they were on a certain team. So they're passing certain laws purely to signal, and it costs us money. Actually, just like all they want to do with fighting Donald Trump and things like that. That's all signaling. They're not going to win any of those fights. They're going to lose every one of them, but they won't lose. We are the ones that lose. They wasted the biggest thing, which is human capital. They have X amount of time, they have a lane they're supposed to be in, they're supposed to be getting their job done. They're not getting their job done. They're out of their lane. We need to get people back in their lanes and get actually things done.
This is a perfect example of how our city government divides us, makes us look at something else. It's exactly what Greg's saying. By taxing a certain group of people, how is that addressing the thing that they say they're addressing, which is the regressive tax on the poor? It changes nothing. All they're doing is trying to make more money off the hardworking people, the people that are vested in the city that have something that they can grab, which is people that make a lot of money here. Those are the people that they're going after, and they're making it seem like they care about another group of people. It's time we stop letting them take our views, take who we're looking at and change it. It's like this deflection off to something else. We need to start paying attention to what they're doing and why they're doing it. They have, as many of us have said up here, our city has more money than we've ever had. Why are we needing to continue to make more taxes? I'm not for it.
Bottom line, tax should be proportionate to everyone. It should not be punitive. What we need to do if we want to pass real tax reform, obviously property tax is regressive. The sales tax is regressive. You have one population, property owners, who are paying for all of the state improvements. Well, I was in a forum, Capitol Hill. Somebody yelled out, "Hey, none of us are property owners. Go for it." That's the problem that we have here. If you want to get real tax reform done, it needs to happen in the state legislature. You need to get out and talk to your Senate. You need to talk to your representatives. There needs to be a discussion in Olympia. And it needs to happen outside of Seattle as well as within. Like everyone on this stage has commented, like, look at the big six. This is the big difference between all of us. Every single one of them supports that tax. Everyone here knows that it's flat out illegal and it's totally ridiculous. It is exactly what Dave said earlier about Murray getting on the national stage and grandosing himself about how progressive Seattle is. This is all illusion, smoke and mirrors, folks.
I just want to reiterate that here again we see that the leading six candidates do not speak for the entire city. Where is the anti-tax voice in that group? We're just not seeing it. So with that, I wanted to start the final statements, and Tennille, you're up first, 1 minute apiece.
Tennille Cato for Mayor of Seattle. I just want to leave you with, it's an evolution. If you want change, speak, vote, pay attention. There's 21 candidates that to me are saying all the same things. My statement is different because it's coming straight from the people. It is not my agenda that I want to push, it is yours. I'm not sitting in the office looking at statistics and evaluating what I feel like you want as a community. So vote. Make sure you get the right person and the right people in position, because this is an opportunity for change. The power of the people is putting pressure on us to deliver to you. So take your power back and command what it is that you want to see in your city. Tennille Cato, thank you.
So Harley Lever, I'm a smart government guy. I want to integrate technology, make data-based decisions, evidence-based decisions in every single part of our government. For far too long, we use ideology and really poor science, or not even science at all, but poor policy to drive our city. We have so many issues that we're failing on. I'm going to give you real answers and real solutions to the challenges that we face. Enough is enough. We need a regional approach to opioid addiction, homelessness, and housing affordability. Anybody that tells you difference is not being square with you. We have to get a hold of our homeless contractors, make them accountable, drive down costs, and get our homeless neighbors inside. We have to scale up detox. We have to get our homeless or addicted neighbors off the streets. Safe injection sites are not the solution. Getting people the help they need is the solution. We can't tax our way out of this. We have seniors that are being taxed out of their houses. I'll be the guy that gives you the evidence-based solutions. Thank you.
Well, I want you all to vote for Larry Oberto, because I've been with successful teams and I've been with non-successful teams. I've been with teams that live together, and I've been with teams that depart at the end of every day and don't speak and still win championships. Seattle needs somebody that can lead it to a championship. We've had 3 mayors that have brought us to this abyss of dysfunction. Bad traffic, bad crime, bad drugs, all with all this growth. And the new people don't know the difference, because this place is glorious. It's time to redirect it with some common, grounded sense. That's what it needs. And you've got to get out and rally the not normal voters to vote, because these people will all give you change. And every one of them, whether I agree or not, will be a heck of a lot more accountable than what you're going to get if you don't get people off their couch. Vote Larry Oberto or vote one of these guys, but don't waste it on somewhere else.
Greg Hamilton, Save Seattle. SaveSeattle.org. Here's the deal. This is one chance in our lifetime. This is never going to happen again. This is all because of the accusations against the mayor has provided us with a window of opportunity that will never exist again. We can take this thing back. Fight. Get off your ass and put your ballot in the mailbox. And no disrespect to people on the stage, I like all these people. There's only a couple people that have a chance. And we need to back those people, and we need to beat these sons of bitches. All right? These people suck. They're horrible. They're going to flush this city down the toilet. Right? It's only the speed at which they push the plunger. That's the only difference between the six of them. We have to fight. We have to win. We have to pick somebody. We need to back them. Get off your butt. Vote.
I agree with everything. I mean, this is an opportunity. James Norton. Hopefully you guys all know me by now. This is an opportunity, people. Our city has a chance to do amazing things on this level. I mean, we have this many people right here who really, really care about our city. As you can hear my passion, I've taken a leave of absence unpaid from my department. You've heard me speak out against my department. It's not going to be easy for me to go back. I'm doing this because I love Seattle. When I move here, I want this to be my home for the rest of my life. I don't want to get forced out like everybody else. I want to make this city livable again. I want to bring common sense back. I want to make it so people like this have their voice heard and have an actual part in making our city a better place, along with every one of you. But you have to get out and do it and talk about it. If not for me, for them. If we just sit on our hands or elect another one of these people that are legislators, I'm telling you, our city's doomed.
Jason Roberts. Again, to reiterate, at the core of my platform is communities, neighborhoods, and small business. I want to bring the balance back. And like I said, to me, that means investing in our neighborhoods, giving them the power to make the decisions about their own development, to encourage them to develop within themselves and generate money within their own communities, and fight the big development that's pushing them out and create equitable neighborhoods for everybody, not just half of our population. Again, these people have said it very well. The next mayor that we have is not only going to affect their term, but generations. This is a pivotal moment in our city's history. We have a very small window where we can make a difference. And if not me, then you should look at somebody else on this stage, because these are some real solutions, not just some canned, rehearsed bullshit that somebody said in the mirror 20 times to themselves before they came.
Thank you all for coming out here and not listening to our city's media. They are trying to tell you who to vote for, so thank you for ignoring that and coming out and listening to these different perspectives. And thank you, Jason, for putting this on. Thank you, David, for being thank you, David Preston, for being impartial tonight. It's great. What am I about? I just want to live and let live. I have led before, including a year in Afghanistan. And I want to lead again. Great. We can't kill the bureaucrats. So I want to work with them, for those who remain after I finish my firing. And I want to just focus on the boring, nonpartisan stuff. And then if we can do that, you'll never want to hear about City Hall ever again, because we won't have anything to discuss. It'll be great. We'll focus on other things that are more enriching to our lives. Casey Carlisle, please come to my website, casey4seattle.com.
Casey, somebody tells me that having you as mayor would be anything but boring. I wish all the candidates good luck. I would also thank them, and special thanks to Jason Roberts for organizing this event. Thanks to the Rock House for hosting us. I'm hoping that it. Everybody hasn't made up their mind yet about who to vote for. You still have 10 days. Talk with your friends about what you saw and heard here tonight, and make sure to get those ballots in the box. Thanks again for coming out.
Tip your bartender and server.
Woo!